We live in an era of unprecedented logistics and technology, yet the mechanisms of our society feel increasingly broken. From the cost of housing to the wait times in hospitals, essential institutions appear to be shifting away from their original goals. This friction is a product of a specific organizational shift. Modern institutions prioritize the expansion of their own administrative systems over the actual service or product they were built to provide. In 2015, a disagreement over Halloween costumes at Yale University revealed this shift. A residential dean suggested students should have the space to make social mistakes and wear offensive outfits as part of their intellectual growth. Students responded with a public confrontation, surrounding her husband and demanding an apology for a perceived lack of emotional protection. At the University of Southern California, a business professor was removed from his class for a similar reason. He was teaching a common Chinese filler word, nega, which happens to be phonetically similar to an English slur. These incidents allow administrators to expand their reach. By treating language or costumes as urgent crises, managers can create new layers of oversight, training programs, and disciplinary committees to justify their continued employment. Universities were historically defined by their educators and researchers. However, as these institutions became global corporate brands, the center of gravity moved from the classroom to the administrative office. This chart tracks spending across the American university system over 40 years. Investment in actual teaching has remained flat, while the budget for administration has followed a steep vertical climb. This is a form of rent-seeking behavior. Economists define rent-seeking as the attempt to increase one's share of existing wealth without creating any new wealth in return. Those in power use institutional resources to create high-paying, non-productive roles for their professional network. In this model, education becomes secondary to the self-preservation of the management class, financed largely by a massive increase in student tuition. This administrative expansion is not limited to the campus. It has become the standard operating procedure for every major federal and corporate hierarchy. Consider the United States military. During World War II, the military managed 12 million soldiers with 7 four-star generals. Today, with only 1.2 million active personnel, that number has climbed to 40. These top-tier officers enjoy significant perks, including personal standby jets that cost over $60 million. Meanwhile, roughly 8% of American veterans rely on food stamps to meet their basic needs. We see the same pattern in healthcare. While the number of doctors grows at a slow, predictable rate, the ranks of health administrators have increased by over 3,000% since the 1970s. These medical managers generate profit by creating barriers. Major insurance companies routinely deny roughly a third of all claims as a matter of course, betting that patients will lack the resources or the energy to appeal the decision. Across every sector, the bureaucratic class sustains itself by manufacturing friction, extracting wealth by denying the services they claim to manage. The standard defense is that modern complexity requires this level of oversight. Managers argue that global logistics and legal safety cannot function without a massive administrative class. In his book, Seeing Like a State, James Scott suggests that this order is deceptive. He compares a natural forest to a state-managed tree plantation. A natural forest is diverse and resilient, whereas a plantation is standardized for easy harvesting. While the plantation looks organized, it is highly fragile and prone to total failure. Bureaucracies view human diversity and spontaneity as threats to their survival. Independent communities that can solve their own problems do not need managers. To maintain control, the state forces society into simplified categories. It prioritizes systems that can be mapped, measured, and taxed, even if those systems destroy the organic local knowledge that keeps a society resilient. The goal of the machine is not to optimize human safety, but to minimize unpredictability so the administrative class can maintain its position. We can see the endpoint of this extraction in the bankruptcy of Stratford University. When the institution failed, it wasn't because there were no students, it was because the management had consumed the host. Even as the school faced collapse, executives used funds for luxury car leases and personal loans. The core mission of education was ignored in favor of direct looting by those at the top. The philosopher Hannah Arendt observed that total bureaucracies behave with an internal logic that has little to do with the real world. Arendt argued that these systems operate like cults. They eventually sever their connection to reality, prioritizing their own expansion and the protection of their internal hierarchies above all other outcomes. The bureaucratic parasite does not require the organization to survive. Once an institution is bankrupted, the elite networks simply move on to the next host. This decay explains the shift in our culture toward quiet quitting or lying flat. These are rational responses from workers who realize they are being used to sustain a machine that offers them nothing in return. It also explains why the promised prosperity of recent decades feels out of reach for many. The metrics used to show our wealth are no longer grounded in physical reality. This chart shows the U.S. stock market through two different lenses. The black line tracks value in dollars, showing a steep climb toward record highs. But the blue line tracks the market against gold. In terms of actual purchasing power for a hard asset, the market has entered a long-term decline. This gap suggests a divergence between paper wealth and the actual value of goods. It indicates that much of our recent growth is a product of monetary policy and money printing, rather than increased industrial output. For the next generation, the traditional path through these rigged institutions is a trap. High-level management slots have been largely captured by the current elite and their children. Survival requires a different strategy. Instead of seeking the approval of a management class, prioritize acquiring real, tangible skills and pursuing knowledge that the bureaucracy cannot manufacture.